Browns back at it on Thursday, Mary Kay, here in Berea. And of course, we got to meet Freddie Kitchens today. Well, not meet him, but meet him for the first time as the offensive coordinator. Of course, he took over for Todd Haley when Haley was fired on Monday. And the big thing really from Kitchens to remember is he came up under Todd Haley. He is a guy that's going to run Todd Haley's system. And listen, we're 8 weeks into this, so not a whole lot is going to change system-wise for this team.
Yeah, which I think is the main reason they put Freddie in charge of the offense, for the continuity, for the terminology, and basically to run the same scheme. The challenge for Freddie is that he's never called a real NFL game before. He only called a preseason game in Detroit. That was it. So it's going to be very interesting on Sunday.
The good news is, in that preseason game, Baker Mayfield was the starting quarterback. And really the big thing for Kitchens in this offense is to make sure that the development of Baker Mayfield continues. Kitchens was a quarterback at Alabama. He's been a quarterback's coach, so he is a guy that can work with that position.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And he also knows the importance of protecting Baker Mayfield. That has to happen in that game. Part of that, however, is giving him outlets and options so that Baker Mayfield feels very comfortable when he looks out there that he can get rid of that ball very quickly. He's got to do that. Once again, he's got a young left tackle that is still growing and developing. He's been sacked way too many times. He came up limping last game. So I think that Freddie and everyone on this team right now understands the importance of Baker not getting hit.
I think Browns fans are also hoping that because the running backs coach is taking over, they'll get to see a little bit more of Nick Chubb and a little bit more of Duke Johnson. Now, speaking of some weapons that Kitchens could have, Rashard Higgins was back at practice today. Not sure if he's going to be able to go on Sunday, but it's certainly a good sign that he was back out there.
Well, that's a great sign for Baker Mayfield because Rashard Higgins is one of his favorite targets. We saw the chemistry that they developed during training camp. They had it going on. They also did the same thing before Rashard hurt the knee. He sprained his MCL. Those guys were connecting in games in the same way they did in training camp. That's going to be so important. I mean, just to add a reliable receiver onto the field, take a little bit of pressure off Jarvis Landry, and give Baker somebody that he trusts.
And some help on the other side of the ball is back as well this week. E.J. Gaines back at practice after dealing with a concussion, likely going to play on Sunday as well. Of course, we'll know a little bit more about both those guys on Friday. But the secondary was getting thin. They kind of got by without Gaines, but it's going to be good to have him back.
Well, this is certainly the week that you need all the help that you can get in the secondary. Obviously, the most high-powered offense in the NFL is coming to town with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and the whole entire company. They are scoring number one in the offense, more than 36 points a game, and so it's great to have EJ back. He was playing well before he left with a concussion. Of course, he was replacing Terrence Mitchell, so that kept bringing them down the depth chart. So to have EJ Gaines back will really help them.
And good news as well on the Mitchell front, even though he can't come back for a little while, he did have the cast off of his arm when he was in the locker room earlier this week, so he's starting to get there, maybe a candidate to come off IR later in the season. We'll have full coverage of everything that happened in Berea today at cleveland.com/Browns.